You're watching the SEC on ESPN. And welcome back to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. A game that has been dominated by Florida, particularly on defense. They have just shut down South Carolina, both in the air and on the ground. First and 15 for the Gators from the 46. Taylor down the sideline. Bumped out of bounds to 23. I was going to say they missed a hold, but they did throw a flag. I think they got it.
Martez Ivy, that true freshman we were talking about, I believe, working on.
Was it Cox?
One of the Gerald Dixons. I believe he was working on Gerald Dixon.
I mean, somebody was held big time.
Holding, number 73 on the offense. Penalty is 10 yards. Replay, first down.
So left guard, you watch Big 73 pull around, and as he goes to block there on Gerald Dixon. Yep, got him right by the collar there. Good call by the officials. No reason to hold there. He'll learn that. Guy was already bounced outside. Wasn't his block that set him free.
So first and 20 for Treon Harris.
You know, a game that's felt totally in control with a full quarter left. You're only up 3 scores. Turnover, quick score by South Carolina. They're right back into this.
First and 25, and Taylor was to carry down to the 40. Got 16 of them back.
Except that it feels like Florida's not going to let that happen.
No.
I mean, this is, we saw Iowa last week, and everyone wants to talk about what Iowa doesn't have. They're a really good team, and if they won out, I would not be surprised at all. Florida, the smoke and mirrors that they're doing on offense, if you are a Florida fan, to know what they had coming back on the offensive line, know that they really didn't have their quarterback settled. Greer started playing well, but the things that they've been able to manufacture as coaching staff have been awfully impressive.
Harris quarterback draw. Week 10 Monday night, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Andy Dalton and the undefeated Cincinnati Bengals will face J.J. Watt and the Texans. Coverage starts Monday night countdown at 6 on ESPN, as well as streaming live on Watch ESPN.
And if you go back to last season, it was the game against South Carolina. South Carolina blocked a punt with 46 seconds left to get the ball, go down and score, put it into overtime, ultimately win. And Will Muschamp was fired the very next day. And a lot of people think if South Carolina had not blocked that punt while Florida was up 7, that Muschamp may still be the head coach, including Will Muschamp.
Harris, about a yard and a half shy. And this is no man's land here. It's easy to go for it at this point. And Jim McElwain's already made his decision.
And we had put this up earlier for discussion only. This is something I pulled out of a wonderful book called Scorecasting. And this is hard for people to think about. But it says 4th and 5, you should always go for it. Of course, that would never happen, especially in the SEC. But 4th and 8 or less inside the 45 and 4th and 11 or less inside the 33. And this is something that Jim McElwain has done since his time as head coach at Colorado State. And here they are on 4th and short, going for it again.
A little toss, and they won't make it as Jordan Scarlett had his legs cut out from under him by Bryson Allen Williams, who diagnosed the play beautifully.
Well, this is Treon Harris. He has to see that there's bad numbers to that side. Allen Williams had nobody assigned to him, even though they had all of the strength, including Brian Cox Jr. to that side. It's Allen Williams who outnumbers the Gators.
Welcome back to Williams-Brice Stadium here in the fourth quarter. Gamecocks trail 17-zip. Had a chance to visit with Gamecock Athletic Director Ray Tanner, who knows about coaching. He won back-to-back national championships in baseball. And I asked him to discuss with me when you're going to make the coaching decision and who makes the choice. And I'll tell you after the play, Michael, I'll tell you what he had to say.
All right, Jerry, look forward to that. I know your connections with Ray Tanner, and he was a brilliant coach have a baseball coach be named the athletic director of a major school. I can only think of one other guy, and that was Skip Bertman at LSU. Doc, back to you.
Ray said he has an advisory committee that will advise him as to who the candidates are. He said, but by the fact that I asked Sean Elliott to be the interim head coach, he automatically becomes a candidate. He said, I love his energy and excitement, but as far as when they make the decision, just a moment.
Nice move by Hurst. 6'3", 6'5", 252 pounds. He runs a 4.5 40. And of course, we were, I would say, captivated by the personality of Sean Elliott. There's his wife, Summer, where she's hopeful as well. And coaching, when somebody like Steve Spurrier leaves in the middle of the year, all the coaching staff wonders what is going to happen to them. You know, their futures are up in the air, but I think that's probably one of the reasons that Steve left when he did. He said this program needed a new voice, and Sean Elliott turns out to be the guy, and he has an infectious personality. The players seem to love him.
And there's Steve Spurrier Jr. He's wearing, I'm sure, the honorary visor in honor of his father. He's on the staff as a wide receiver coach. But if you go back to, it's nice to hear that Coach Tanner, as they call him around here, because even though he was the athletic director, he was a coach for so long, is going to give Sean Elliott a real look. This guy has changed the attitude around here. Practice has gotten more physical. They've gotten more competitive at the line of scrimmage. He was a former all-conference defensive end at Appalachian State. He brings that mentality. But
this is 4th and a yard, by the way, to try to keep this drive alive. And they're fading hopes alive as well.
Oh, there you go. A freebie.
Brantley got across early, it appeared.
But Elliott was brought here by Steve Spurrier 5 years ago.
Offside on the defense, number 57. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Doc, finish up your thoughts on Ray Tanner.
Yeah, he said we got to make a decision early in December. It's important to get that decision made. Obviously, they had 100-plus recruits here today, and they want to know who the head coach is going to be. So it's imperative that that committee and his advisors get it done early in December.
Of course, a game like this does not help his cause unless they can mount a comeback in the fourth quarter against one of the nation's best defenses. Williams will get the first down, then fumbled the ball. Still loose, and it looks like South Carolina had a shot at it at the end and may have come up with it. Mason Zandy dove on the ball and saved the day.
Well, finally, South Carolina gets a little offense going. They get an offsides by Brantley. Not sure the knees weren't down. They will not review this because South Carolina recovered it, so no reason to review it, but I'm not sure that his knees weren't down.
Orth sets, throws, caught and loose. I think that's going to be ruled incomplete, and it is. Through the hands of Pharaoh Cooper, their most reliable receiver.
Good throw that time by Orth.
Yes, it was.
Cooper's such a good player, but they said he has been dealing with some drops recently. He never tucked that ball away. Terrific job by Jalen Tabor to not quit on the play. But as soon as you catch it, you see the guys work, put that thing right up in their arm. Cooper kept the ball out, allowing Tabor to come in and knock it away. Good finish of the play by 31.
They put Cooper in the slot left this time. Give it to Wilds. If you go back to that fumble for a second that was recovered by Zandy, he is 6'9", 314 pounds. He's a right tackle. They discovered him at a quarterback camp. And Sean Elliott saw him and said, son, next week we have an offensive lineman camp. I want you to come back because I think you can play the offensive line. You're not going to play quarterback.
And unfortunately, the 6'9" Zandy gets up favoring what looks like his right lower leg.
He's a junior from Chapin.
And that's a true freshman now comes in at right tackle, number 63, Blake Camper. So you go from a junior to a true freshman in the SEC when you're down 3 scores. Tough duty.
Flanker screen. Cooper wants to throw. Throw back to the quarterback. Orth has it. Touchdown! The 4th career touchdown pass for Pharoh Cooper, and he laid it out there for Orth. Now the officials talking about a flag in the end zone. Could be excessive celebration. Because it was well after the play was over.
I can see why the cork would pop on celebration for South Carolina.
That's a heck of a throw by Cooper. Nice catch by Orth, too.
I know.
Had a defender closing on him.
The defensive end, Sherritt, who had let him go, was turning
yes.
And all 6'5".
The touchdown. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 10 on the offense. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Greeted with a chorus of boos.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
You know, at some point you have to decide. Kids are going to be kids. Let them celebrate a little bit.
Well, and sometimes it's what's said, not what we can see. If there's mouthing to other players that use foul language, they'll throw that every time. And officials say, please don't judge us by what you see. A lot of times it's what we hear that has us pull the flag out, and unless we have a microphone nearby, but we would be muting that anyway now, wouldn't we?
Yes, we would. Cooper on a flanker pass, a perfect strike to the quarterback, Perry Orth.
ESPN College Football is presented by Cars.com. All drive, no drama.
At Paulie's Front Porch here in Columbia, if you eat 3 8-ounce beef patties, you get your name on a knife that hangs on the wall like that guy. And I will tell you, if Ed Cunningham was there could be knives everywhere. You could take that and then order dinner.
I was a 300-pound lineman at one time in my life. But we're going to go back and show you that penalty on Perry Orth. A big 15-yard penalty now for South Carolina. This could give good field position to Florida as they're trying to milk the clock.
Powell. And normally their kickoffs go out of the end zone. This is a call for a celebration, and I'm sorry, it is a terrible call.
Yeah,
Perry Orth doesn't do anything.
The only thing he does is a little spin of the ball as he goes down. But if you watch this angle, as he's celebrating, to call that for the spin of the ball seems awfully ticky-tack. Now, the rule, the officials are pushed and pushed and pushed to try to stop celebration, planned celebration. That one didn't look planned to me. Yeah, he spun the ball a little bit, but that's an awfully big 15-yard penalty for a guy getting up celebrating and spinning the ball, 3/4 of a turn?
Well, they call them judgment calls, and in that case, I think it was terrible judgment. Harris under pressure, and down he goes. Sacked by Kelsey Griffin.
A little shocked Florida's calling a drop-back pass. The momentum all of a sudden may have felt like it changed, but you're still up 2 scores playing against a team that hasn't been able to do anything offensively except the last drive where they had to score on a reverse pass to their quarterback. And now good pressure, that Sky Moore coming from the outside, and a good finish of the play by Kelsey Griffin, but just wondering why Florida would be even risking a drop-back pass here. I mean, this is clock time. You want to be eating this. And Kelvin Taylor was starting to find some room on that last drive.
Taylor will get it this time. No room there. And they're just selling out on defense. They are fired up after that score.
This is a team in South Carolina that played very poorly at the start of Tennessee last week and had a chance to win it at the end. They were going down to score, and it was a fumble by their tight end, Jarrell Adams. And here you go with John Hoke, the co-defense coordinator, starting to feel it a little bit, getting some energy from the building. And that first down drop-back pass, still a head-scratcher for Florida.
Kelsey Griffin was coming off the field, relieved on 3rd down. One of his teammates chest bumped him, nearly flattened him in the process. 3rd and long. Harris to throw. Underneath to Callaway. Antonio Callaway trying to get to the outside, taken out of bounds. And this will bring up 4th and long. So all of a sudden, old Mo is going the way of South Carolina.
I don't want to beat it up too much. They called a drop back pass on that first down, and they probably felt like, we're going to catch them off guard. There's no way they're going to think it. Well, you end up with a sack and a big negative yardage play, and we've seen how tough it's been for South Carolina all day with negative yardage plays on first down, and so now returning the favor a bit.
Townsend will kick to Cooper. He's back at his 30. Still a lot of time to go, 7:02. Nice punt. Cooper driven back to the 20. Looking for a block, can't find one. After all that, gets a yard after a 50-yard punt. Nice coverage by Chris Thompson, a backup wide receiver.
I'm Adnan Verk. Just a friendly reminder, coming up next, in 2011, Oklahoma State 10-0, ranked number 2 in the AP poll, then fell to Iowa State in Ames. They'll try to avoid that predicament in that game coming up here on ESPN. Over on ABC and ESPN2, Deshaun Watson, number 1 Clemson, getting set to take on the Syracuse Orange. As Mike Patrick says, though, every SEC game like a knife fight in a ditch. Back to him and Ed.
It's the truth. This one is living up to the hype, celebrating its 11th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Can South Carolina mount another drive? Well, yes, they can. A perfect strike to Matrick Belton for 26. And a walk-on who has played in every game.
And now for South Carolina going fast, down 10. They have a good field goal kicker. We've been talking about the struggles for Florida, but Elliott Fry, typically money, especially inside 40 yards. I don't know how much.
Get something on the ground, but Brandon Wilds can't get anything because John Bullard is there.
I just don't know how much you want to be running the ball. There's Fry there, who inside of 40 this year, he's 11 for 12. Outside of 40, he's not doing so hot. 5 for 11. So you want to get down inside the 25-yard line, and then you don't want to burn too much clock down 10 because you'll take the 3 and then try the onside kick.
4-man rush time. Great catch near the 40.
Terrific throw as well.
That's Jarrell Adams, the tight end.
Very good coverage, and Orr fits this right in there. Adams, who had the fumble last week in the fourth quarter as South Carolina was going down inside the 20 to try to win.
Well, Wilds again. I think you want to tear this page out of the playbook. Yeah, it's just not working.
Yeah, you can hear the South Carolina fans grumbling a little bit. The offense has changed. It has become much more of a option-based run game with play action off of it. So you're not doing as much drop-back passing as you did under Steve Spurrier. However, I'm not so sure the run game is part of the plan right now.
Wouldn't this be a comeback for the cause of interim coach Sean Elliott? This is a free play if they let it go. And then Orth is belted out of bounds. And a flag is down. This may be 15 for a late hit.
No, I don't. I think that flag is from the offsides. I'm not sure that was a late hit, Mike. Orth was, it was a big hit.
Well, that's where they threw it. Yeah. That's why I thought it was.
Yeah. But the coaches, when Orth ran to the side, they were pointing downfield. They knew.
On the defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
That's a free play. Go ahead and throw it.
And Orth deciding to run it, but the coaches on that side, on the South Carolina sideline, that's just it's close right there, but that was a heck of a job by Jared Davis to get over there in a hurry. But the coaches, everyone was pointing to Orth, just heave it. You got a freebie. Take a shot. And he didn't.
Nothing bad can happen. Orth again with time. Cooper! Touchdown! A 38-yard strike. Who flipped the switch? Ed Cunningham.
Sean Elliott has said this is a second-half team all year. Not sure why they take so long to get going. But Pharoh Cooper runs right by Brian Poole and the safety Marcus May. You cannot, in this situation, have your safety standing flat-footed. Not against a guy like Cooper. And now, because they scored so quickly, I think South Carolina can kick the ball off and not have to do an onside kick.
Orth was 5 out of 13 until this streak. He's 6 out of his last 7. There's a touchdown pass and a touchdown catch. They have awakened in Columbia. It's a 3-point game, and later today on ESPN, a pair of games that have major playoff implications. 3:30 Eastern, number 8 Oklahoma State battles Iowa State, presented by Cars.com. Then number 9 LSU, trying to bounce back against the red-hot Arkansas team, presented by Hilton Hotels. Both games also streaming live on Watch ESPN. South Carolina has stunned the Florida defense that had been airtight for 3.5 quarters. They have burned them.
I would say about 5 to 10% of this stadium left thinking this game was over. And the momentum that South Carolina has gotten all started, it sometimes does, on 4th down. Bryson Allen Williams, the outside linebacker, sparks in, gets a great stop on Jordan Scarlett, and then Pharoh Cooper throws his 4th touchdown passes of his career, a strike to Perry Orth, and then Perry Orth pays him back and puts a throw right into the lap of Pharoh Cooper as he ran by the inexplicably flat-footed safety from Florida. And all of a sudden, the building getting noisy, and Sean Elliott, who kept talking about as the interim head coach, this is a second-half team, well, they're believing it now.
And they are losing their minds in the stands and on the South Carolina sideline. A yard, maybe 2 for Cronflight.
And as hard as it is for Florida right now, this is where I think on 2nd or 3rd down, as much as it makes you tingle to think about a throw because an incomplete pass stops the clock, South Carolina is going to have as many people at the line of scrimmage as possible while covering everyone else one-on-one, knowing that the only way Florida gets out of here alive is if they can run and pick up a 1st down.
Those 4th quarter numbers are amazing. What a turnaround. Do you dare throw the ball with Harris? Pressure coming. They don't get there, and Harris over the middle, and what a catch by Robinson. That ball was right on the tips of the grass, and he went down to get it for 19.
What a terrific, as you know, that 1st down call where they threw it on the drive before, we were questioning that, but on this one, this is a great call. You know that South Carolina has everyone up around the line of scrimmage. You've got one-on-one coverage with one very deep safety for South Carolina, and a good call by coordinator Doug Nussmeier, and a good throw by Harris. Low and inside, only his guy could get to it. Terrific execution.
Taylor fought for a couple. Remember, they only have 2 timeouts left because of the one they blew earlier in the ballgame. Let's check in with Adnan.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Just want to update you what's happening with regards to Florida State as Sean McGuire here to Kermit Whitfield. NC State was leading early, but the Seminoles have come right back. 27-yard touchdown there. Currently 27-17, Mike.
Boy, talk about open. Jeez.
Looked like Pharoh Cooper.
Yes, he did.
Not quite able to burn out the clock if you're Florida. One more 1st down should do it.
Pressure coming. Harris under pressure, throws incomplete. Taylor was in the area, but if you pressure a quarterback, you can make him throw bad balls. The other thing this does, it stops the clock. They don't have to use a timeout.
Yeah, I think the rollout here, I think the thinking is, and remember for Harris, he has only played in 10 ball games in his career. Now, that's great defense, but I think the thought was rolling him out that he could run the ball and take a slide and not burn it. But now if Florida's not able to pick up this third down, I'd be surprised if they throw it here. Quarterback draw may be the call, but South Carolina's going to be able to get a timeout and get a lot of time on the clock. Ball back.
Safe call. They give it straight off to Taylor, and Taylor, first down and more. Taylor up the middle to the goal line. They sold out, but somebody left the middle of the field wide open, and Taylor roared through it for 53. Holy cow, what a huge play.
You run it, you run it, you run it, you run it. Remember in the first half, what did he average? About 2 yards a carry?
Yep.
Then you get to the fourth quarter, and this offensive line, this much maligned offensive line for Florida, sticking it out. They finally get a seam. And now, crazily, Florida can't quite run out the clock right now by taking knees, so they will have to run some offense.
Taylor. Touchdown, Gators. You would have never guessed it. For all the world, South Carolina had the momentum back. They were forcing a third and long. You knew it was going to be a conservative play one way or another, and it was an ultra-conservative play. It was a straight handoff.
But go back to the throw that they did on second down where Harris hit Robinson. That's a gutsy call, great execution. I said it felt like they were going to have to throw one on that second or third down. Did not want to give the ball back to South Carolina because it felt like they were going to go down and score and win it. So hats off to Florida and their offensive staff in trusting in Treon Harris.
This place went from as raucous as you could get to stunned disbelief. An unbelievable turn of events here in Columbia as the Gators have regained their 10-point advantage. 24-14 tonight. ESPN is Washington State, number 19 UCLA. 10:45 Eastern to start. When that finishes, SportsCenter at night directly follows all the highlights. Busy day also in college football, the NBA, and the NHL. That's SportsCenter at night after the Cougars and the Bruins on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Well, a guy like Kelvin Taylor, they've been trying to pop him out. Jim McElwain, who comes from a long lineage of coaches who like to run the ball. Keep sticking to it, and then all of a sudden you pop one down to the one to get the win.
Check in with Adnan.
Mike, just want to let you know that Rex Ryan is in the house. He wants to support Clemson. Of course, his son plays for the team. He's a walk-on receiver. Sammy Watkins also there. Clemson Syracuse coming up on ABC and ESPN2. Mike?
Thank you, Adnan.
Does anybody get more airtime than Rex Ryan?
Nope.
Son, the reason Rex would be at Clemson, his son is the holder.
Yes.
On kickoff field goal and PAT.
The fans are streaming out of here after that stunning run. And this is going to be incomplete. Brandon Wilds out of the backfield. Dropped it.
And, of course, talk at South Carolina turns to with the resignation of Steve Spurrier earlier this season. We had a time to sit down with Sean Elliott yesterday. I really hope they give this guy a long look.
Me too.
I mean, they were getting run out of the building here for a while. The guys hung in. They put together some offense. He's out with his assistants doing a terrific job keeping the recruiting fires burning during this time. And I hope that they give him a good look. And I took some time to think through who some of the guys they should look at. And, of course, a lot of people talking about Tom Herman at Houston. And
who doesn't want Tom Herman?
It's 3/4 of a season as a head coach. I agree he's a smart guy offensively, of course.
Under pressure, scrambles.
But here are, as I was looking at kind of the people for this job, I think Tom Herman fits. Jim Tressel, who is, I know a lot of people are saying, wait, Jim Tressel? But his show cause to coach comes up this year, and I think he'd have a ton of energy if he wanted it. And I think Sean Elliott is a guy they should give a long, hard look at.
If he had completed that comeback today and there was a flag down at the end of this play, they might have gone down to the field and signed him after the game.
Yeah. And they gave it a valiant effort. They really did. And yesterday when we talked to him, he said, I played at Appalachian State, and then I worked under Jerry Moore, one of the greatest coaches in college football history. They won 3 national championships there. And his brother, who was a graduate of South Carolina, saw that the offensive line job was open here, and he texted him and said, hey, that job's open. He never thought that anyone would give a FCS-level offensive line coach a job except one guy, and that was Steve Spurrier.
Defense, number 7, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Steve Spurrier did because the offensive line was struggling here.
Needed help, and they brought Sean Elliott here. And you talked to all of the players. When he was named the interim head coach, they loved it. They always liked how positive he was with his offensive line, the energy he brought to the practice field. He seems like a guy that has a plan, and I know with Steve Spurrier gone, part of the reason Steve Spurrier stepped away in the middle of the season, I think, was give this coaching staff a chance.
Yeah.
If Coach Spurrier would have left before or at the end of last season, you would already have a whole new staff here. So I think for Coach Spurrier, waiting until this season, maybe thinking he still had it in him, is potentially allowing this staff to stay intact.
Picked off. Quincy Wilson stepped in front of that throw and made the grab to pick off Perry Orth and end the threat with 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go. This Florida defense is pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty salty, aren't they? When we were talking to Jim McElwain and his staff this week before the game, they were talking about, we had to go around and find some people on offense. We had to find an offensive tackle. We had to sign 2 freshman running backs. But the defense was pretty well set. And Will Muschamp, give him a lot of credit. When Urban Meyer left, this place was shaky. And Urban admits that. There was an article in Sporting News about how bad things had gotten in the locker room. Will Muschamp cleaned it up a bit. Yeah, he didn't get it going on offense, but he sure got it going on defense. And here you are with a championship team. And, yeah, it's Jim McElwain as the head coach, but you have to give some credit to Will Muschamp because they're winning with this defense.
The cupboard was not bare.
No.
He had recruited some guys, and he was a defensive coach, is a defensive coach. So his emphasis in recruiting was on defense. You can understand that, as McElwain's will be on offense. If you coach on that side of the ball, that's your expertise. That's what you're going for.
It was great visiting with Coach McElwain. He spent that 1 year at Fresno State with Pat Hill. And anybody who remembers the amazing job that Pat Hill did at Fresno State, he said, he just showed me the importance of having a power run game. It makes the defense play differently. And you saw that at the end, that last run.
Florida State certainly on November 28th is not going to be a walkover.
No.
Florida State is very young, but they're going to have to, and they're taking a look at Fred Taylor shaking up after that last play. But Florida State certainly capable of taking a great shot at Florida and everything the Gators have to offer. Back to your point earlier, if they lost that game and were a 2-loss team going into the championship and somehow beat the Western representative, would that be enough to get in the top 4? I don't know that a 2-loss team has a shot.
I don't think it would. We'll see what shakes out in the Pac-12. If Stanford were to lose a second time and win the championship, maybe. But I think the hard part for Florida would be then it would come down to, wait a minute, let's look at how good they really are and what they don't have on offense, and you'd start to nitpick. With one loss and a win against Florida State at the end and a win against likely Alabama, they're a shoe. They'll be in. I'm not saying what I've seen is not a top 4 type of performance, but it's the outcome on the field that the committee will look at above everything else, and it will be impressive outcomes if Florida can run the table.
Well, there's some guys we wanted to mention today, too, like Steve Spurrier, one of our favorite people. It's just been a delight to be around forever. Gary Pinkel is stepping down, the Missouri head coach, because of a diagnosis of cancer. you have a connection with Pinkel. I got to meet him for the first time last year. Really liked him.
Yeah, sad news when Coach Pinkel stepped down. He was our offensive coordinator, played at Washington under Gary before he left to be the Toledo head coach, and just the Missouri all-time wins leader. And when Missouri came into the SEC, there is nobody on the planet, especially down here in the Southeast, that felt like the Tigers were going to be able to compete at all in this league. And in the first 2 years, all they did was win the SEC East 2 years in a row. And so for a moment, I'd like to take some time to thank Gary Pinkel for what he's done. He really looked out for his players. Of course, Michael Sam, who came out as gay a couple of seasons ago, and no one knew about it until the end of the season. And then, of course, in the last couple of weeks, backing some players who were part of the protests on campus that led to the resignation of the president of Missouri. And Gary Pinkel had their back the whole way. Pinkel, a guy who really transformed some coaching in that Missouri area and built a program at Missouri that no one thought was possible.
Well, we wanted to wish him the best, and also to Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech, who did everything with such grace and class throughout his exceptional career. Took a program that was absolutely nowhere, and one of the reasons he was able to build that program into the power that it is was the level of patience that they had. He had a full 6 years to build that program to where it was a consistent winner. Today, nobody gets 6 years.
Well, imagine if the Florida Gators don't win the SEC East next year. What happens to Jim McElwain?
Well, exactly.
And that's the thing. As a Gator fan, you really do have to keep this in context. This is one of those magical seasons where things have come together. But this has really been done, especially on offense, with baling wire and some twine.
People's expectations in this day and age are just off the charts. Clock stops with 3 seconds to go. And the Gators will have wrapped up another victory. They really earned it in the fourth quarter, though, after playing great for 3 quarters. They were burned for 2 touchdowns. But now we'll go to 9-1. 7-1 in the SEC, and who could have imagined 9-1 this year?
Not the Florida faithful. They had such a terrific run, of course, under Steve Spurrier, and then Urban Meyer wins 2 national championships there. And lo and behold, first year for Jim McElwain and his staff,
and here we go with the lateral Ruski.
And Antonio Morrison was having none of it.
And the Gators win at 24-14. For South Carolina fans, wasn't much to cheer about until the fourth quarter started. And then there was a lot, but that exceptional comeback fell just short.
What a quality win for Florida. They came in here. They had a bunch of guys banged up on their defensive line. John Bullard, maybe their best player, came in. He was injured. He played and played well early. Nice win.
Go to Jerry Punch. Doc?
Well, Coach, for over 3 quarters, your football team controlled the clock, the football, and the scoreboard. And then what happened? Here comes South Carolina with 2 quick touchdowns.
Well, let's give them credit, man. They hung in there. They've been playing hard ever since all season. And obviously, these last games, they've been right down to the wire. So, we knew we were going to get this kind of game, but let's not look at the point that, we won the game, and our guys figured out a way to do it.
Last week you were concerned about your offense. Only 9 points, had to come late for the field goal to beat Vandy. Today, 24 points. Where do you see the growth in that unit?
Well, obviously we can't turn the ball over, and we gave up some points down in the red area that, we'll learn from. We've got some guys playing their tails off, and we're a good football team, and we'll get a little bit better next week.
You talk about next week, but beyond that, you got Florida State, maybe a date with Alabama. How soon do you begin thinking about those games?
Well, it's out there, right? But at the same time, what we've done a pretty darn good job of all year is figure out if we win the now, we got a chance to win tomorrow. And that's what we're going to do going into this week. We've got a team coming in that's full of a bunch of Florida guys that wishes they were Gators. So they're going to play the hardest that they've ever played. So we've got our attention on FAU.
Hey, Coach, congratulations. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
There's a coach who had a brilliant year at Colorado State, having another brilliant one at different schools. He's led the Gators to 9 wins. Once again, our final score, Florida 24, South Carolina 14. For Ed Cunningham and Dr. Jerry Punch and our entire crew, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching. Now we go to Adnan Virk and the college football scoreboard presented by Honda.